For the first time, the U.S. government released a report this month detailing the abuse and mistreatment of Native children who were forcibly sent to boarding schools in the 1800s. Our St. Louis community reporter, Gabrielle Hayes, has been reporting on one school in Missouri that fits into this painful history, and Gabrielle joins us now. So tell us more about this boarding school. The St. Regis Seminary opened in 1824. What did your reporting uncover?
Yeah. So we learned that this school, as you said, opened in 1824, and it later closed in 1831. So it wasn't open for that long. But what we do know is that, what was promised, the idea from the beginning was that these schools were, quote unquote, going to provide an education. But the research shows what's reflected in this report from the Department of Interior, which is that wasn't the case, that these children were, specifically at St. Regis, worked long hours in fields, they did manual labor, and that also many of them were also abused. Physically, violence, there was violence in these schools, and the one here in Missouri. And so we kind of worked to piece together what happened in those 7 years as much as we could, and for the most part from letters.
And this was a Jesuit school. So how have the Jesuits responded, and how are they reconciling with their past?
Yeah, so it was the Society of Jesus that opened this school, and they actually opened more than one across the parts of the country. And so we've been in communication with the Jesuits, and we know that they released a statement, I believe, last year, kind of acknowledging what happened at these schools. But recently, more recently, I believe in January, they brought in a researcher that's going to be based here in St. Louis, and that person is supposed to take a look at the history, the Jesuits' involvement, and kind of piece together that story. And so we've worked with them in some of that work, but it will be important to see what they are able to uncover and sort of release, because we were able to piece together the story through records and things that they kept. And so we're waiting to kind of see what else they have and what else we can learn.
So put this into the larger context for us, because the Department of the Interior, as you well know, it says Native American children were forced into assimilation at 408 boarding schools, federal boarding schools, in the 19th and 20th centuries.
Yeah, and I think it's important also to note that that report makes it clear that there are 408 that they have included, but that number could possibly grow. And so I think that that's important. In reading that report, it was so striking because so many of the things that we were able to uncover, whether it was assimilation tactics or the promises that were made or the experience of the children, or some of the language that was used in these letters to justify what happened at these schools, we could see through reading that letter, through reading that report, that what happened in St. Louis, what happened in Florissant, it wasn't just our story, it was a story that happened across several states. And so it's St. Louis has a chapter, but it's a much bigger story.
Our St. Louis community reporter, Gabrielle Hayes. Gabby, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you.
And you can read Gabrielle's full story, her brilliant reporting, on our website, pbs.org/newshour.